Hello, everybody, and after 3 weeks of a hiatus, we are finally back, and we're going to go over a little bit of why we stopped for the past 3 weeks, just give you a little information. We're not going to go over like our usual stories and theological questions and stuff. We'll pick all that up next week, but I mean, unless something crazy happens, God forbid. But next week is our schedule. It's going to start back up again. So the past 3 weeks have been kind of crazy. It all started the first Saturday that we weren't here was because my grandma, his mom, was in the hospital because if I get anything wrong, you gotta tell me because I think that you're more in the loop on this. But she went in for a surgery on a Monday. Was that the 4th? Today's the 30th. So
Monday,
the 4th?
on a Monday. Yeah, that Monday.
So she went in on a Monday to have just a surgery. It was going to be simple enough.
Yeah, she had surgery to take a piece off where intestines were, and they, because they wanted to make sure it wasn't cancer, so they wanted to take it, remove it. But why they did that, I think they accidentally nicked her intestines, and it caused her to have sepsis.
Because she was fine, and then she wasn't. But that whole week, Dad wasn't able to prepare for the podcast because, he's dealing with his mom being sick and all that. So we were just going to push it to the next Saturday, the 16th. And so Grandma was in the hospital. And then she got a little bit better. It was kind of on and off a little bit. She would get a little better, and then it would seem like she would get a little sick again. But now she's doing a lot better now. Still recovering from that whole thing, but she's a whole lot better now than she was at the start. So we passed the 9th, which is that Saturday we decided to postpone. And we go into the next week. Wasn't the 9th the family reunion too? It was. So, yeah. So not only were we dealing with my grandma being in the hospital and being sick, but the 9th was a family reunion that my mom had planned for a week. And now this is the part that's kind of a little touchy because there was a lot of intricate parts to this. But not to get too beat up in the weeds, to simplify on just what happened. The 9th was the family reunion. My mom had planned it for a year. She planned it last year. It was supposed to be the 9th. We went, and when I say a handful, I mean, I think she invited 95 plus people, and only about a handful, so anywhere between 10 to 20 people showed up who wasn't like immediate family. So when I say immediate family, when I say that, I mean my mom's brothers, her mom and her kids. If you're not counting, and like her husband, if you're not counting us, then only a handful of people showed up. So we were super, super bummed out about that, and that bothered us. So we felt those feelings going into the next week after the 9th. And there was some family drama. I was included in this between myself, my mom, my sister, and some of the family that didn't show up to the reunion because, we were upset and bothered. And then we get to Friday, which was the 15th. And we 6 days prior, we just had a family reunion. And we were still, we were just now trying to get over all the emotions from that. And I'm at work, and my mom is sending us messages. and then I get a phone call. What had happened was earlier that morning, probably around 6. I think they said it was like 6:20. My uncle, which is my mom's brother, Timmy, he got into a car accident and he died. He passed away. And oddly enough, my mom was on the way. She was going for radiation.
Yeah. No. What day was that? Friday?
Yeah.
I think she's going for physical therapy.
Physical therapy, that's what it was. Physical therapy. They actually drove by the scene. My uncle, he was already transported and he had already passed away. They drove by at around 7:05, 7:10 to see his car. Now they couldn't tell exactly if it was his, but my grandma thought that it looked like his and it was the same color. So all the messaging that I was talking about was my mom saying, you guys pray and just keep praying and just keep us in your thoughts right now, because we don't know, but we think that Timmy might have gotten in an accident, but we're not sure. We're not 100% sure. We can't get in contact with him. We can't reach him. His boss can't get a hold of him, and it was Friday. It was payday, and he's never late to go pick up a check. But his boss couldn't get a hold of him, so they were getting nervous, right? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have experienced that. You can't get a hold of somebody. And eventually they wound up getting the contact info for the... I don't think it was the coroner's office. I think it was the forensic investigator's office. And,
Or what?
Huh. No, there's like a B or something. They got their number, and they were asking, have you guys had any accidents? And my mom basically gave them my uncle's name, age, basic information, what year he was born, how much does he weigh, stuff like that. And then not too long after that, they called her back and told her that it was him. He crashed his car. They said the witnesses said he was going like 90 miles an hour on the road, and they think that he lost control. He might have auto-corrected, and he lost control. He hit a tree, and he passed away. So that was that Friday, and then, like I said, from the reunion 6 days prior, so all those emotions that were starting to dissipate, they just blew back up, because we went from a family reunion where he was there to like nobody showing up to 6 days later he passed away. So all those emotions of being hurt that nobody came, they boiled over. And all those wounds were opened back up again, which caused more drama and more division. Which, hindsight now, everything, almost everything has been resolved by this point. But at the time, there was a lot of emotion going on. So we didn't record that Saturday because our uncle passed away and we were dealing with that as a family. So we go into the next week. That was the 16th we didn't record. And we go into the next week, and they actually planned for his memorial service. He didn't want a funeral, so they just had like a little get together memorial at the grave as like a send off basically, and that was scheduled for Saturday the 23rd. So it was almost like for 3 weeks in a row. It was just event after event after event for 3 weeks in a row that caused us not to be able to put an episode out, which I know like nobody's going to be upset about that. It's just we want to kind of explain what was going on and not leave anybody hanging, wondering what's happening. We're not stopping. This isn't like we're slowly fading off. As a matter of fact, before we started this episode, he was brainstorming ideas of things we could do to get the podcast more up to date and kind of a little more exciting. So we have plans to make things better. So we're not going anywhere. We just kind of want to explain the situation a little bit. It was literally just 3 weeks back to back to back of just event after event after event that caused us not to be able to record. It's actually like 2 minutes till 8 o'clock at night right now, so we're recording pretty late. We just got done with a oyster roast for my uncle in his memory not too long ago. But a lot's been going on. A lot. And we've just been dealing with it as a family and taking it in stride and putting the pieces back together and all that. So that was what was going on these past 3 weeks. You get something?
Yeah. Well, we go back to the family reunion part. Family's important. And family get-togethers are important. A lot of people want family reunions because they want people to come together, and because throughout the years you don't hardly see people, and sometimes it's important to people, and then if you don't come, sometimes it really upsets people. But even if people don't come, even if they intentionally didn't come, I feel like we should be able to forgive them and tell them we love them, and it's okay, because it's okay. In this life we live in, we make decisions, and we have to live with those decisions. If I don't spend time with my family and something happened to them, it's not on nobody else, it's on me. I have to live with that.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes just because somebody don't come to you or get together don't necessarily mean they don't love you. Sometimes other stuff, they make room for other stuff, so they leave you out. Not intentionally, but that's how sometimes it is in life, And sometimes family gets in, altercations about certain things, but at the end of the day, we're still family.
Mm-hmm.
And we should love each other, treat each other good, But it's good to have a good, strong family, so you can have support around you when things like this happens.
Yeah, and it's not even necessarily that it has to be family in the sense of being blood related, because there's people that I consider family that I'm not even related to. So I mean, they have neighbors that treat us like we're brothers.
Well, he's my neighbor, but he is my brother.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
and they're family to us. So
my big brother.
Yeah. So it goes beyond like blood relations, but the thing that came out of it for me was there are a couple cousins that I have not seen in years. Some of them I've seen, a little bit, but there are a couple that I have not seen in years. And I've seen them more in the last 2 weeks than I have in the last 5 years. And I am thankful for that, because I miss them. I miss hanging out with them. We used to hang out together all the time when we were young, and I love them, and I hope they know that. And it's good to see people that you have not seen in a long time. To me it is. I love that. And it really makes you appreciate the people that you got. I mean, it's unfortunate that somebody has to pass away to stir up feelings like that. And sometimes that is a harsh reminder, But for me, I'm glad it was a reminder because sometimes we get caught up inside of our own lives that we really forget that there are other people around us that deserve just as much attention that we give ourselves. We should give to them. So I'm happy that I've seen them. One of them even had a baby. Baby's adorable. Baby is so adorable. He's a lot younger than me. He thinks he's big fish. He's still a little shrimp, but I love him regardless anyway. So, Ethan. I'm talking about Ethan. My older cousin Cody, he also thinks he's big fish, but I ain't a little kid no more. Cody, just saying. I know he keeps saying, "You're lucky your dad's around."
They all good. They all good.
I like all of them. All of them are fine with me.
Yeah, and the death of my brother-in-law was pretty hard, on my wife, because that's her little brother. It hurts her. She tells me, she ain't gonna be able to see her little brother no more. And that, what can you do? And his mama, is, that's her baby boy, and it hurts. And it just, you take lessons out of life, you this happens, and you take things out of it. Life is short. You never know when you leave the house in the morning. You might not make it back home. You should love everybody and treat everybody as, the older I get, the more I want to love people, and the more I want to treat people. I want to treat people good. It's easier to be good to people than to have enemies. I want more friends, and I want true friends, and I want less enemies. You're going to have enemies no matter what you do, but you treat people good, because later on down the line, it's going to come back on you. You do something for somebody going to do something good for you. That's the way I see stuff.
And it's not even like, and what he's saying is not you do good so you can get good in the future. He's just saying that happens. Yeah. But you should want to do good for other people, because we all have the innate instinct to just want to do good things for people. And it's really good for you personally. And, like he said, you take out lessons and stuff. And I'm in the same boat as him. I want to be okay. There were some people that I messaged personally, like, dude, I'm sorry if I did anything. I just want to let y'all know I love y'all, and I don't want no problems with anybody, because life is too short. My uncle got up that morning thinking that he was going to go right back to where he was staying. Yeah. And he didn't. I mean, he drove down that road, and he never went home. So, and that could happen to anybody. I don't want to live my life with a bunch of regrets. That's the last thing I want to do. I tell my wife that all the time. I don't want to live like that.
So, like, the lesson I learned, like, is, like, we had a memorial. I think it's okay for me to say some stuff I said, but, like, I learned to not quickly judge somebody for what I see them doing in life. I don't know how they got there. And, I want to be, how am I going to deal? How am I going to treat this person? How am I going to handle this person? Or how am I going to go about looking at this person for what they did? Am I going to look down upon them, or am I going to show them love and compassion? That's what that's one thing I got out of this, because a lot of people, what they call the struggle, a lot of people's in struggle, and they don't even realize they're in the struggle. You might see the struggle, but they don't see it. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you just love people, treat them good. There's a certain way to do things, You just don't judge people, just all out, come at them and treat them in love. And if they're doing something, just try to share with them what you think about it and why it's hurting their life or something like that. That's all you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all imperfect. We was all. I mean, we well, the only perfect person that ever been on this earth was Jesus, and he was a perfect person that died for an imperfect man. You know. That's one thing I learned. I know my dad always used to say life is a vapor. You're here today and gone tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote down some things here if you want me to read them.
Yeah. Funny enough, I actually made a rap song, whatever. We all have phases. And I actually have audio from Papa, his daddy, saying that at the very, very end of one of my songs. So that's true. He did say that a lot.
In James 4:14 it says, "Yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? For you are a vapor that appears for a little time and then vanish." That's what the Bible says. And I wrote down a vapor is a fine mist like fog. It quickly burns away when the sun comes up. It has no substance and leaves nothing behind. That's how our lives are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, in the Bible also talks about since your life is short, make it mean something. In Psalms 90:12 says, "So teach us to number our days that we may get a heart of wisdom." That means live with a purpose, means being about God's work on a daily basis. Living that we may get a heart of wisdom. Right? So even in the Bible, Jesus knew that the time is short on earth. So in John 9:4, this is what he says: "We must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. While it is day, night is coming when no man can work." That means everything one time in your life is going to stop. Whatever you do now, it's going to stop. So whatever you do, make it count. Make a purpose. Do something good for people. Make your life count. Love people. Treat people good. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Do this. This is what God wants us to do. And then when your life is over, Hebrew 9:27, and it says, "As just as is appointed for man once to die, after that is the judgment." So one day, when it's all over, you're going to stand before God. And what you want God to tell you. It's true. One day you will stand before him if you believe. If you don't believe, you will stand before the Lord. But you want to make, why not live your life loving people? Why not live your life treating people good? Reaching out to people. People struggle. We don't know what people go through and what caused them to get to where they are. You know what I'm saying? You love people, treat them good. This is Jesus Christ himself came for the sinner, and he loves the sinner, but he wants them to come to him and become a new person in him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is what Jesus wants. You to love. Now, I know a lot of people talk about judgment. We ain't called to judge the sinner because a sinner's a sinner. I was once a sinner. And I'm only where I'm at today because of Jesus Christ. Not me, it's him. So it's our job, it's what we do is we love people. We treat people good, show them the love in our heart, and lead them to Christ. That's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the only time you judge people is when people claim to be men of God, but you see them doing something they shouldn't do. It's your place to tell them. It's your place to tell them. And people say it ain't, but it is. It is. That's a person that claims to be a man of God, but you see him walking the path they shouldn't. This ain't talking about a sinner. You supposed to go out your way to love sinners, treat sinner as your neighbor. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what Jesus came for. Come from you. Because we all imperfect. He was the only imperfect one. You can't get to the Father unless you go through him. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I believe you should treat people the way God wants you to,
Mm-hmm. And
Jesus is an example of how you treat people.
And we talked about this a long time ago, that love does not mean that you accept everything that people do. People, speaking of judgment, Matthew 7, 1 through 5. This is what people like to say, but they always leave out the last part. So let me just break it down for you. Judge not, that you be not judged. And that's what they say. They stop right there, basically saying, don't judge people or you'll be judged. But let me read it to you. It says, judge not, that you be judged, for with what judgment you judge, you will be judged, and the measure you use will be measured back to you. And why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but do not consider the plank in your own eye? Alright? That has nothing to do with saying that you can't judge people. It calls us to judge people righteously. Because there's a right way to judge and there's a wrong way to judge. And why do you worry about the speck in your friend's eye when you have a log in your own eye? How can you think of saying to your friend, let me help you get rid of the speck in your eye, when you can't see past the log in your eye? Hypocrite. First, get rid of the log in your own eye, then you will see well enough to deal with the speck in your friend's eye. Don't waste what is holy on people who are unholy. Don't throw away your pearls to pigs. They will trample the pearls, then turn and attack you. So it says right there, we are called to judge righteously. We can't tell somebody, hey, let me help you get the speck out of your eye. Basically, let me call you out on your judgment. When you have judgments on yourself, you do the same thing and worse, and then you try to talk to somebody else about what they're doing. That makes you a hypocrite. But Jesus himself says once we remove the log out of our eye, or we remove what we're being judged for, once we get rid of that, then we can say to our brother, let me help you with the speck in your eye, or the judgment that you're going through. Let me help you with that. It's called judging righteously. So the Bible doesn't say don't judge. Let's just be clear, people. It's not what it says. We should judge people righteously, which means that loving people, we should love like Jesus loved. He loved everybody, everyone. And the people who say he sat with sinners and he sat with tax collectors and stuff, he did. But he never sat with them and said, all right, I'll see you next time. He sat with them, and before they left, he told them, sin no more. That means don't be the man that you are now when you walk away from this table. Be someone different. That's how Jesus loved people. And we should love people the exact same way. It's a love that cares enough for people to call them out when they're wrong, but also help them when they're down in the need. Because like he said, you never know what somebody is going through.
I'm glad you brought that up. Because when it comes to, in the Bible, Jesus, he was sitting with the tax collectors. He was sitting with the tax collectors and the sinners. And the religious folks didn't like it. And they got mad at Jesus, okay? But see, there's two sides of this thing here. You have those people. You have those people that if that like Jesus would, because Jesus came for the sinners and they got mad at Jesus, but Jesus told them that's what he's there for, right? So, but see, in the other side of this is people will say, like to justify a life that they live. They say, well, Jesus sat with sinners and Jesus ate with sinners. But see, This is what Jesus did. Jesus ate with sinners because he came. That's who he came for. He came. He wanted to set you free from your sins, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he came. He didn't come. He didn't sit with the sinners to participate and to become like them. He sat with the sinners so you can become like him.
Mm-hmm.
Is what he did. That's why he sat with them. That's the love. He loved you so much that he sat with you, and he wanted to show you the love in him, and he wanted you to carry the love that he has for you in him, right? So you can change and follow him, because he know you can't get to God unless you go through him. And if you have him in your heart, you're gonna be just like him. If you ain't just like him, you ain't got him in your heart. Right?
Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean perfect, because we're not going to be perfect. It means striving to be the best that we possibly can to model ourselves after Jesus, you know. And why is it that this whole thing comes back to Jesus and stuff? It's not like we're using my uncle passing away or all these things is just, you know, a gateway into talking about God. All this stuff has to do with the same thing. Life is really short. And we make choices and we do things that cause effects on our lives, good or bad. And like I said, my uncle got up that morning fully expecting to go back, and he didn't. And you never know. You never wake up in the morning and think that it's going to be you, and it could be. So we're only stressing this about Jesus and God because if you go without that, we don't want you to. Is basically what it is. We would rather you be right with the Lord because it could happen at any point. You know, that's why we're so passionate about it right now. And
yeah, I mean that's who. If you believe in Jesus, that's who you believe in. That's who you talk about. That's just how it is. I mean, you know. That's what we talk about, and in this world, people can talk about whoever they want. I mean,
at the end of the day, like if you don't like it, well, hello, we're the Like It or Not podcast, aka the L.I.O.N. Thanks for joining us. You know that's our whole thing. We're gonna talk about stuff we want to talk about, whether you like it or not. But we, not to make it too biblical or whatever. But we just wanted to give everybody a basic rundown of the last 3 weeks and why we haven't been here, and that's what we wanted to talk about. So, I know I've commented and I posted a short video on our page, and people have said that they praying about us and they're keeping us in our thoughts and stuff, and we appreciate that. We do, and we're happy that we have people who are willing to stay even after 3 weeks of being absent. So we appreciate you guys, and we appreciate the likes and the shares and the comments. Like, really, we do. And if you want to share us to all your friends to have more people see us and enjoy the same things you do, by all means, please do that. Because it's really cool that we're just two dudes who sit inside of this, studio, air quotes here, and talk to a camera, and people are, they want to listen to us.
Yeah, but don't leave out what this week represents. Jesus, resurrection.
Yes, the Saturday before Easter, we're back on. And one of the most important things that we can leave you with is tomorrow is a representation of Jesus Christ raising from the dead and defeating death. So you, him, me, everybody can have a chance to be saved and have salvation, and to not have so much worry and struggle and grief set on our hearts, and we got to go through this, world which can be evil, like really evil at times, with no hope, nothing. We're just a big soup in space. No, we can have that, and Jesus can give us peace, and He can save us, and when our time draws near, we can be with him for eternity. That's what this past week and tomorrow Easter represents. And I'm happy that we can come back this week and that be our like final thing that we say for this episode. I think that basically covers it, isn't it?
Well, I think we can leave it here. I was going to speak on. I had something in my mind to speak on about Judas and Jesus and stuff like that.
If you want to say it.
I just, you hear a lot of people talk about Judas and but Jesus loved Judas. Jesus fed Judas. He fellowshiped with Judas, and he taught Judas. He did everything he did with him as he did with disciples. But the rest of the disciples choose a different path than Judas did. Judas had opportunity to follow the rest of the disciples, but he chose not to. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Jesus was going to be crucified whether Judas betrayed Jesus or not. But what Judas did was he made a decision to prosper off of this opportunity to portray Jesus. And it led him down a path he didn't really want. But he knew it, that's why he hung himself. The rest of the disciples, they took what Jesus said, they went on and carried on what Jesus taught them. And they even was martyred for it, except for John. John the Baptist, John the Revelator.
Mm-hmm.
They were martyred for Jesus' death. But Judas had the same opportunity as the rest of them, but he chose the world instead of Jesus. So Jesus still loves you as a sinner, but it's up to you to choose him. And Judas chooses opportunity for fortune over Jesus. That's like a lot of these mega star preachers today. They prospering off of Jesus, but they don't really love Jesus. But see, Judas spent time with Jesus, but Judas had the chance to take that opportunity. Jesus was going to get crucified whether Judas betrayed him or not. Jesus already knew it was going to happen, but Judas had an opportunity to follow the rest of the disciples. I just feel like need to tell people this. Yeah, Jesus loved Judas, but with Judas's action, he showed he didn't love Jesus back.
Mm-hmm.
The disciples showed they loved Jesus back because they died for Jesus. I just feel like I need to say that.
And that is like a parallel to everybody today. Because you'll have people who are going to accept Jesus and go to death for him. And you have people who are going to knowingly be aware of Jesus, but choose to go another way because that other way profits them better. There's a lot of symbolism in the stories of the Bible that portrays in our lives today. So that's good. It's good. Is that it?
Yep.
So that's.
I probably could go on with this, but
probably
that's in a short
we'll probably both could.
span. There you have it.
So
there you have it, folks.
There it is. We're happy that we can get on here and make everybody aware of what the situation is. Next week, Lord willing, start back our normal routine. Next week will be a little different, slightly different, because we'll do our regular news stories, joke of the week. Kaylee, at this point, Kaylee is a hit or miss with these jokes. Like, she says that she'll do it, and then she goes, I'm busy. We'll see. Would actually be the plan. But the theological question is actually going to be broken into a separate video. Because this theological question is tricky, but not as much tricky as it just is long. And I want to make sure I cover bases with it. So that'll be its own little separate video. So we hope you look forward to that. And again, thank you to everybody who keeps up with us and watches us and who likes and comments and shares. And by all means, subscribe and share to your friends. You know, we want to get ourselves out there so we can be, we can have more impact. You know, that's the ultimate goal is to be able to have people want to watch us and be entertaining to people. So we thank everybody for that. And you good?
I'm good.
All right. We'll catch you on the flip side next week. And God bless everybody. Have a good Easter, and we'll see you next week.
Hang on.